Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.
So, welcome back to Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate business topics, both sober and drunk, to see if we come to the same conclusions.
And today we are debating about Hector and whether or not it's hard.
So,
or he's hard.
or
maybe, they're hard, sorry.
Yeah, gender neutral, come on, buddy.
Look at those forearms, though.
I don't know if you remember. I probably should have looked it up before we started, but we had a previous episode where we drank this Hector's Hard iced tea, and it was like out of a purple 2-liter.
That wasn't iced tea, though. It was just purple drink.
Whatever. So we gave it a pretty, I wouldn't say scathing review, but
honest review. It
was an honest review. And the rep for Hector's Hard actually reached out to me after listening to the episode and said she was very nice about it. She appreciated the constructive criticism, but offered us their peach punch flavor, which she claims is better than the purple flavor. So
as well as the iced tea,
as well as just the regular iced tea. So we are calling this Hector's Hard's Redemption, or maybe not Redemption, because
you're not cracking an iced tea.
I haven't. Should I first? Okay,
that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Other than that, I feel like it's been a million fucking years since we've recorded, buddy.
Yeah, sure. We missed 1 week, and you get all weird and squirrely.
When I make a commitment, I really don't like fucking up the commitment.
Unless.
What?
What were you doing?
I had an event. I had work.
Was it good?
Very good, yeah. Yes, I held my first event ever. It was a co-event with a cheese maker, a cheesemonger, if you will. We did like a wine and cheese pairing thing, so it was like a 4-course cheeses and wines, and then I did a little presentation and talked about the wine and the vineyard and stuff, and yeah, it was really good, really well received. The customers, all the attendees were like, "Oh, you gotta have this again, so I can like bring my cousin and like I do all this shit." They were very singing my praises the entire time. They clapped at the end. That was nice. And
I heard they clapped multiple times.
Yeah. Well, who'd you hear that from?
Your parents.
Why do you talk to my parents more?
Don't worry about it. They owe me money.
They do owe you money. But yeah, so it was really good, and but it went very late, and then by the time I was done, it would have been 11 o'clock, or no, I think it was even later. By the time I got home, I texted you and I'm like, "Yeah, you good call, just canceling it," because like,
yeah,
I had suggested maybe do like a short one, but yeah, by the time I got home, it would have been fucking far too late to start this, because if you don't know, both of us like get up at like 6 a.m. after filming these like the next day and
like champs
and go to work. So
I mean, we do it to ourselves, so you can't really boast about that. We're just fucking idiots. But I mean, this is a business podcast, as you always fucking remind me.
It is.
But is this like, why do you think this works so well? And like, are you gonna try to duplicate it or?
Yeah. So here's the thing: is I've been in a little bit of a financial situation.
Pickle?
Yeah. Well, okay, so not really a financial.
I think you talked about this last time.
Yeah, not really a problem per se, but like just sales are down over last year.
Refer to last episode.
And so here's the thing: it's getting harder to like get people just to come to my bar to like drink, but it seemed like I sold out of tickets. Like more people wanted tickets. They were like emailing me trying to get tickets, and I'm like, sorry, it's sold out. We're at capacity. So I was thinking maybe it was like easier because it was like an event. It was like something to do like that you could save up for and plan, and it was like not just like, oh, let's go out tonight. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Let's go to the bar. And because like gas is so fucking expensive, drinks are so fucking expensive, everything's expensive now, and people are broke.
It's like this restaurant that I was looking to buy, you know, in small town where I'm from. That's what they were doing, was a lot of events frequently. They had like a lot of different themes. They had blues nights, they had like ladies nights and paint nights and seniors nights, and like they had like more interesting themes than that. They had specific local artists or whatever that was happening, and like very interesting menus. They'd pick up like they would do like a Viking night where they just do like Viking cuisine and liquors. So it was a dead slow place, and they went from that to being like busy all the time, and they were selling like fairly expensive tickets, over $75 for a meal ticket. And this is a relatively new restaurant, and yeah, they were selling out quite consistently. So it seems to be a model that works really well if you can be creative with it. And I honestly, I don't think there's anything else like it in this city anyways, so it's not like you have competition.
Yeah, so another thing that I noted during the event, because I was trying to like talk to people like between courses, probably half the people in attendance had never heard of me before.
Yeah.
One group found us by Googling things to do in Winnipeg, and just it came up on Google.
How do you think it came up?
Because it's when I posted it on Eventbrite, it goes
Right.
on like their things to do in Winnipeg calendar.
Right.
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
Eventbrite has really good SEO.
yeah. I used to use them a lot.
Yeah, so Eventbrite was good. Shout out Eventbrite for hosting event. If this is not a paid sponsorship, but
thanks.
if you want to sponsor us, Eventbrite, it's a good service. And then I made a Facebook event, and I think that's really important too for the algorithm. Facebook is obviously like the number one visited website behind Google, right? I think is like
Probably.
I think so. They have like 1 billion daily users, right? So
Yeah. And declining.
yeah, but good for the algorithm though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was one group, and then one group just saw it, like their friend had posted on Instagram or something, and like yeah, it was interesting. So, but here's a cool thing is that so they were $40 tickets. So I made about $1,800 in ticket sales. I sold $2,000 of wine to the customers afterwards, because they were able to sample 4 wines with the cheeses. So 90% of what I sold were those wines. But like one woman bought a case of each flavor, like spent $600.
Yeah, which is
Like,
crazy.
And that was the first time she'd ever heard of me before. Was
Yeah.
that day. So the upsell was something I actually wasn't thinking of. But then the guy I did the event with, Dustin, shout out Loaf and Honey, he does these kind of events often. And he said like when he does them with like breweries, they make all their money off of like bar sales.
Yes.
Because you get
Yeah.
like one.
You break even on the tickets, and then you make your money on the back.
Yeah. So they do it. Well, okay. So he told me to do this. It didn't really work for me, but I was upselling. Like I'm like, if anyone wants more alcohol between courses, you can buy them. It didn't really work because I think it was an adequate. Like we were giving.
You're already drinking.
Yeah, we were giving like 3-ounce glasses. So like
People aren't like, I need to drink faster.
12 ounces of wine for a lot of people is like that's like half a bottle of wine. Like for
Yeah.
a lot of the people, especially the people in attendance, like the wine moms and stuff, like that's a fair amount of alcohol to drink.
Yeah, they're buzzed. They're having a good time.
Yeah.
So
So
like, want shots?
yeah, so I only sold a couple, probably 3 or 4 cups in between, because I'm like, yeah, like let a customer know or let an employee know if you want another drink, right? So a couple people got them, but that wasn't really where I made my money. But I made all my money selling sealed bottles afterwards. That's
Yep.
like I doubled my net.
Did you keep the bar open afterwards for people to hang out and keep drinking?
No, I didn't. Just because of we went right up until like when we were legally allowed to be open, kind of thing.
Right. So if you threw this on a night where you could stay open late, you could sell till midnight.
Yeah, so we could now. I like to be brutally honest. I've been considering doing random events for a long time, and one of the biggest things holding me back was I was scared no one would come.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to embarrass myself and
Yeah.
my brand.
Absolutely.
Because we're not an event oriented business. Like it's just not, I don't know. So
But on the flip side, it's novelty.
I sold out the tickets in a week without promoting them. Because I could have spent $5 on a Facebook ad and probably sold them
$5 a day or whatever.
But I had people, like I said, email me 2 days before being like, please, can you get me tickets? And I'm like, no, sorry, it's sold. That's at capacity. So like I could have sold more than I did.
Yeah.
Right.
You should, within the next week, you should announce another one.
Yeah. So we are, we have some plans. We'll need to talk off camera. And we're back. The off camera talking that I was going to do after the podcast, we just did during the podcast instead. But yeah, so here's something maybe I'll run by you so I can get your opinion. But I was thinking about this today. What about a curated guided tour of the vineyard. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
With like, we'll have like a barbecue out there or something.
Sure.
Right? Like make it a day event.
Yeah.
Rent a bus. Ship everyone down together. We can do like a presentation in the bus. And then get there. So your ticket gets you like a glass of wine, a hot dog, and a tour. And then if you want more food, you can buy it. And if you want more wine, you can buy it. And I'll get like a beer garden license
Mm-hmm.
and serve by the glass. And then have like a barbecue, do food. And then everyone can be on the vineyard and take pictures and shit. And like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you just got to put in the work to make the vineyard nice and presentable because it's not really made for that. But it is still cool to see.
We would do it like a week before harvest.
Right.
So it's the most prepped. And the grapes are the biggest they
Right.
are before we pick them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the hardest thing obviously is overcoming like the bus thing. But I mean, if people fucking do it, they do it. Like,
Well, because when we went to, we did that tour at the factory.
Yeah.
Just chartered a bus.
Yeah.
And then he was like passing out whiskey on the bus and shit, and like we couldn't do that because that's like illegal. But
should probably bleep all those names.
yeah, well, it's fine. But
It's in the past.
it's in the past. You can't get me for crimes in the past. Wait.
Nope. Him though.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll bleep it. But yeah, so that wouldn't be that big of a problem to charter a bus.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. You could charter. I'm just thinking like the time commitment, but I mean, like, I think I can imagine, Carly sending something like this to me, be like, "Hey, we should do this for a date night," and
Yeah.
fucking
Okay.
send me the link for the tickets, and I'm like, bye.
Because it's weird if I'm like, everyone meet us there,
Yeah, no, it's too far.
an hour and a half drive at coordinates because there's no street signs because it's a fucking farm in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
Right? So I think like driving down together, and I could take that opportunity to be in the bus and like give a backstory and everything
yeah,
while keep people entertained, right?
yeah. I mean, don't try to overdo that because
Of course.
people have their own ways they like handling long tours. Just keep it fucking short and sweet.
Yeah,
and then,
no, I wouldn't be talking for an hour and a half. I don't want to talk for an
Yeah, I
hour
was
and a
gonna
half.
say,
Never mind.
Can you imagine how good you would have to be to capture the attention of people in a bus for an hour and a half?
Oh yeah, there's a reason why. Well, you did seminars. There's a reason why you talk for like 20 minutes, then somebody else does something weird, and then you talk for another half hour, and then it's like you break up the seminars, right?
Well, kind
like,
of.
At max for like keynotes, it's an hour.
Well, I mean, we would do 8 hours with one break,
Yeah, but that's more of
but that was with a very, very
that's like
skilled
people,
speaker.
and that's also like people paying for the information,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's
a little bit different.
Yeah, that's a highly skilled, highly structured speaker that's got like slides that are 4 line. I think it was somewhere between 200 and 300 slides, and it was just a click, 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 click. It was fucking on a script, right?
Yeah.
And it was honed. It's so difficult, and even then, you have people that are like, "Ugh."
But so that's something I was thinking about, and I could probably sell those tickets for like pretty expensive.
Yeah, we'll figure what your cost is, and
Because I'd have to. It'd be expensive to charter the bus, and I'd have to get toilets out there. And if I have to get a liquor license, like a temporary license, that's
yeah,
a few $100 or whatever. And it's like, I would need staff, and
yeah. So you need to sell probably an entire bus.
yeah,
So fucking start promoting it.
yeah. Well, I
well-
need to talk to LGCA.
Yeah.
If they don't let me do the serving,
Yeah,
I don't know if that would be worth it to do the bus thing.
probably not.
If people aren't drinking, and if people aren't drinking that much, then they can just fucking drive. Like I don't know. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out. But
And
that was something I thought of today.
Promote at your farmers markets.
Yeah, because people. I thought of it at a farmer's market this morning because somebody asked me if we do tours at the vineyard.
Yeah.
I get asked that probably 3 times a day. Oh, do the vineyard open for public? Like, can we go? And it's like, no, sorry, it's a working farm. Like, you can't really.
You could throw up some ads for this. I mean, or at least
Oh,
some,
yeah, no, I
some
could-
videos because you got all that awesome raw
Yeah, no, I
footage.
could have an advertising budget for something like this. I could probably. I was thinking like even like $100 for the ticket, honestly.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
easily.
yeah. Because like we take it for granted, like me and you, because we work on the vineyard.
Yeah.
Like you come and help us and shit, and like Zach's there every fucking day.
A lot of people haven't even seen that part of the province.
Yeah, but like people always go, we can grow grapes here. Like it's I think and branding wise, everyone's gonna want to take Instagram pictures in front of the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And then people were like, what do you mean you're in Manitoba?
Yeah.
Right. And then that would be like, and I was thinking, I'm gonna put bags over their heads so they don't know where the location is. Just kidding.
It's not like they have phones they can pull out. I guess you take those.
You
They can run on the road, read the
watch
sign.
Narcos Mexico?
Yeah.
Where they Michael Pena goes on the bus and they do that. They like, or I guess they don't have cell phones. It's just the fucking 70s. But like, they put bags on everyone's head and drive them out to the weed farm and get them to pick weed and then pay them like $10 for the day or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm just imagining that. Like, put
Yeah.
everyone on the bus and hoods on.
Fuck, I would get so sick.
Yeah, yeah, word.
That'd
But especially like Mexican countryside, like those roads are.
Oh, dude, if you can sell this successfully, you should be like, you should just do this as a joint venture with Dead Horse.
Make it a whole thing.
Yeah.
Make it a whole trip thing.
Well, no, like do a second one for Dead Horse. I don't think you can hit 2 drinking venues in one day like that. You're just gonna fucking run people into the ground.
That's fair.
They'll be drunk by the time they hit the second one, and they're not gonna be paying attention to anything.
Well, so that's why we do mine first.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's something I would.
Or if you can't get the license,
yeah,
this is us problem solving live. If you can't get the license, do the tour. Maybe do like some samplers or whatever.
yeah, I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. So anyway, do the tour of your place, do the whole spiel, drive back, the 15 minutes into town, go to the Dead Horse, brand new beautiful tasting room, and then get them drunk there, get a bunch of bar sales, put them back on the bus, send them back home, and then you guys can split the costs up front and then split the back end, whatever.
I guess the weird thing is though he couldn't serve my wine there.
Right.
No. So it'd be like here's this vineyard. Now we're going to a place that these grapes don't make wine. Like
yeah, it's kind of
weird.
It's a bit of a weird half measure, but
I wonder if I could talk to like a bar there, like Rocks or something.
I wouldn't do Rocks, but
Okay, well that's the only bar I know there. So
yeah, I don't know.
There's two main bars in Tyler's hometown. One we affectionately call the Cokehead Bar because it's owned by some crazy cokehead, and the other one is also owned by a crazy cokehead that's like slightly nicer.
No. It's his wife. It's the cokehead's wife.
Ex-wife? Don't they like hate each other?
Or maybe.
I think like something like Darcy was telling me the whole story.
Yeah,
it's like
I think it's his ex-wife.
Well,
yeah,
apparently this guy,
which is amazing.
will show up to the bar allegedly, the one downtown that we were playing pool at that one time. He'll show up like once every 3 weeks, like like no one can get a hold of him ever. He'll show up, take money out of the register, and then disappear again.
and you'll like rail some coke off a table and then go.
Yeah, and like that bar allegedly. I haven't said the name of that bar yet. I know Rocks. That's the other bar, but this bar.
There's only one other one, so.
Well, whoops. Allegedly, that's like the spot you go if you're a minor to like drink, and they won't ID you.
Oh, definitely not. No.
Yeah. So.
No, I've almost gotten into a fight there just by virtue of existing.
Well, you kind of do piss people off just by existing, if we're being honest.
I did have a hot date.
Oh. But you were like 15, so.
No, I was like 21, and this guy just got mad at me. He's like, "You gotta stop bothering that girl," and I'm like, "I brought her here," and he's like, "Are you fucking lipping off to me?" And I'm like, "Jesus Christ!" I'm like, "You're like 50."
I love small town. Remember on our? Okay, actually, this just occurred to me. I never told the story when we were going skiing and I almost got knocked out by a hick.
Yeah.
Or no, we would have killed him, honestly. It was like 9 of us and 1 of him. Like,
yeah, he was small.
I never actually told this story when we got back, but when we were driving on our ski trip in February, this guy starts, I'm driving the van, my branded van, and you guys are in the, in Zach Centra.
Yeah.
Ahead of me. So the 4 of you are in there, and then me and Margaret are in the van. And this guy like pulls into oncoming traffic, like the lane, when it's like empty, obviously.
It's a two-lane highway.
2-lane highway. So he pulls up right beside me, and he's like yelling at, like trying to get, like I get like now looking back, he's like trying to get me to pull over. But I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, what the fuck is this? So then he goes back behind me because there's cars coming, does it again, and then I'm like, okay, he's trying to get me to pull over. So I call Zach, who's ahead of me. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's trying to get me to pull over. I don't know if like I'm like, if my tire was like fucked, I would know, I would feel it.
Yeah.
And then what else is like priority?
Yeah.
Right?
So
like if my light's fucked, okay, I'm not gonna pull over to fix it. Like, what am I gonna do?
So we like looked at your vehicle the best we could, and we're like, yeah, just wait till the next gas station.
and we were gonna stop in 5 minutes for gas anyway. That was all part of the plan. So we pull over into this gas station. This guy in this
like
fucking
20 clicks later.
like a ways, this guy fucking comes like screeching tires in behind us, cuts us off so he blocks where we're going, gets out of his car, starts screaming at me because apparently when a rock got kicked up and chipped his windshield
By someone.
but he thinks it's me.
There's an entire line of vehicles plus oncoming traffic, so it's like, okay, sure, pick a vehicle.
Yeah, great. And then, well, I'll tell the whole story, like, or my theory in a moment, but just to finish the story. So we're calm at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just pumping gas, and Zach's like, no, like, rock chips are no fault accidents all the time, like the way Zach fucking has every law memorized. Like, no, actually, rock chips are no fault accidents. You just call MPI. Like, they're never anyone's fault. That's part of the fucking law. That's how he sounds. And
yes.
So he starts screaming. He's like, oh, you're gonna fucking pay for this. Like, I'm taking pictures of you, all this shit. And we're just like, dude, like, it's not like, it's literally not our problem. Like, it's just call MPI. And then I don't know how it got heated. And then he's like, you see these fucking scars on my fist? That's because I knocked motherfuckers like you out. And he's like, I just got out of jail. And he's like screaming at us. And then Zach starts laughing. He's like, dude, there's like 6 of us. And like, we're going to fuck it. He's like, well, we'll just kill you.
He's like, no, he's like, there's cameras. He's like, hit me. Just fucking hit me. And he like puts his face like up to the guy's hand. He's like, fucking hit me. Please hit me. And then he just like started egging the guy on. And then he like backs off a little bit.
And then Margaret, who's African, starts chirping him.
In like incoherent.
Yeah, and she's like, because she doesn't take this shit, because like back home, if you take this shit, you're getting shot, right? That's what she was saying afterwards. So she's like, she's starting to chirp him. So I'm like holding her back. Yeah. Zach's like, hit me, like fucking, and then you're there with your girlfriend, and we're just like, dude, we would have killed this guy. Like
the guy came up to me, and I just was looking down at him because this guy's like fucking 5'2".
Yeah.
And I was looking down at him like what the fuck's wrong with you? And I'm like, you want to catch assault charges for a rock chip in the windshield? He's like, I got assault charges. And I'm like, and you're bragging about this?
And then he was like, puts his phone up to his ear.
Yeah.
He's like, my fucking friend's a cop. He's like, Dave, get down in the fucking gas station. Like, and we're like, okay. And then when he was leaving, I remember being like, oh, so your cop friend's not coming or what? Like, but then he fucking leaves. And that was 9 months ago. So
yeah, and the gas station attendees are like rubbernecking out the door. They were so excited.
When we were paying, like,
this is the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, it's the middle of nowhere. Yeah, nothing ever happens exciting. So I bought like chips or whatever afterwards for the ride, and they were like, "What the fuck was that about?" And I tell the story, and they're just laughing because it's like, that was ridiculous. But my theory, when I started thinking about it afterwards, I think that's a scam.
Oh. Possibly.
Like, I think he thought we were a mark because we were in a branded vehicle.
Yeah.
And we're just more likely to just like, oh, it's a business, whatever, pay it off.
Yeah.
But I think he just hangs out around there.
Right.
Waiting for somebody that he like thinks is a mark, and then lies, says his windshield's chipped, and then he's like, give me $200 cash. Because that's what he was trying to do.
Right.
He was trying to get me to pay the deductible in cash, like right there.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And I'm like, well, okay, even if I did have to pay, I'll pay MPI. Like, the MPIs are public auto insurance. If you're listening,
yeah, it's very hard to pull an insurance scam when you have
it's government-owned insurance.
When you have a public insurance that everyone has the same thing and everyone knows the policies for.
Yeah. So, but he was trying to get me to like give him cash.
Yeah.
Right. So when I was thinking about it later, I was like, I think it was a grift.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And then he tried to intimidate us, so we were just laughing in his face, and we were just like, and then because he gave up quick and left.
Yeah.
Right. So that was an interesting.
And like saying, yeah, my buddy the cop is gonna come. Like, yeah, that's probably an intimidation thing. I feel like it might work on some. It definitely would work on some people, especially at that level of intensity. Well, just to get them out of your face.
Yeah. Well, imagine if it was like Carly Alone or something, right? Like.
Yeah.
It's. Like, none of me, you, and Zach would have never given him a cent, even if we were alone. But
I'd be like, yeah, let me get your cash. fucking grabs tire iron.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
But like maybe like my mother or something. Like
Yeah.
I could definitely see her like freaking out and then paying him, right? Like
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I can see that happening to a lot of people, especially if you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and you're away.
Or if you're not really familiar with how MPI claims work.
Yeah. So it just so happened that even if I was in the wrong, I was gonna fucking pay him. Like, but
No way.
a rock comes up on the highway. Fuck off! Like, there's no way you could argue in front of a court that was my fault. Fuck off! Like, because he was like, "Oh, you fucking like when you passed somebody or whatever, you went on the gravel," and I'm like, "I just didn't." Like,
And this idiot is doing it at a gas station in front of probably 5 cameras. Just objectively done.
But remember, he was trying to get me to pull over like 20 clicks
exactly.
behind,
So
right?
why didn't he just drop it? He should have just kept driving.
That's fair. That is fair.
But I mean, dumb criminals.
Yeah. Well, I don't know for a fact that it was a grift, but just like everything he didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't a scam.
So that's a fun segue because I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Of like everything I pay attention to, everything we talk about is like a lot of this doesn't really make a lot of sense, like psychologically, unless you believe that people do things just to be evil, which is not true generally. People don't do things to be evil. People do things because they believe they're right.
Just before you get into it, we're going to quickly transition here into the segment that we call Shot Caller, the part of the show where you, the audience, can pick what we take. Today's shot is, do I have to explain it? You already know what it is. Someone's first episode.
Old Smokey and Hector's hard.
So I think...
That's how we roll.
How are you doing for... I want to pour the peach thing. Let's do the peach.
Okay. Nice.
You know what's weird? You drink at a faster pace than I do now.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like I can...
I think I drink more than you.
I can like out marathon you.
Probably, yeah, definitely.
I'll put myself shot for shot up against anybody. This is an open offer. I think I can kick it with the best of them. But on this podcast...
But it's not shot for shot like in a period of time.
I can just drink forever, basically.
Yeah, it's over when you cry uncle. No
Yeah.
time limit.
Yeah. But...
7 years later.
yeah. But just on this podcast, like, there's been a couple times where you're like, you finished your beer, and I'm like half done, and you're killed yours.
Yeah.
Which that's an interesting.
Yeah, well, also I think I just have a higher metabolism at this point, and I eat more food than you, so it really helps.
Yeah. Tyler got here earlier, and I was eating a piece of toast with peanut butter, and I'm like, yeah, this is I was about to start this podcast without eating anything today, so I figured I should.
And I've had like 2,500 calories today, so I'm fine.
Yeah, I've had like 30, whatever that.
Whatever toast with peanut butter is at, just put it in the comments.
Yeah.
What are the macros? But
so
anyway, like I was saying, let me finish my thought.
yeah,
So people don't do things unless they think that they're right. Typically, like that's human psychology. Like even Hitler thought he had some pretty good points, and
Yeah,
like wasn't in the wrong.
yeah. Nobody
Thinks they're the bad guy.
The thing in the news right now is this Roe v. Wade got overturned or whatever, and none of the arguments that I've seen, like the arguments from the people that think abortion is wrong, genuinely think they're like killing a baby,
Right.
and that's the disconnect,
Right.
Right. So they don't think they're wrong because they don't think you should be able to murder somebody.
Yeah, it's the biggest disconnect there ever was.
Yeah.
It's irreconcilable,
Yeah, because
which makes it perfect.
yeah, it's a great anyway.
Maybe it shouldn't be a political issue.
Wow. Maybe it should be a decision between the doctor and the... Well, have you seen that? Have you seen that thing where it's like...
If they weren't talking about it, nobody would give a fuck.
They're like, well, it should be up to the states to decide. It's like, well, fucking... But like sometimes you're in a Democrat state and they make decisions. It's like, you know what? It should be even smaller than that. It should be localities.
It should be by the city.
You know what? It should be even smaller than that. It should be like a neighborhood. No, you know what? Every person should be able to choose which one.
Wait.
What they do. Wait. Like,
Yeah, no, it's the inevitable conclusion, but obviously unacceptable for people that make that preposition. Brilliant. But no, I'm also reading a really weird book right now called Snow Crash, and it's like I almost stopped the book after the first, 50 pages of it just because it was really cringy and fucking weird. But it's getting interesting and weird.
Okay.
So it's basically like it's this weird tie together of like science, old religion, history, and a bunch of stuff is like turning into this like Alex Jones globalist angel versus demons, path and narrative through history. But it's all based on like this virus that's actually information that's whatever. I'm not gonna fucking explain it. Read the book. But as I'm listening to it, I'm like, because they take so many true things from the Bible and true things from history and true tenets of like different cultures and things that I know about. It's like, okay, these things are true. They make sense. These things are real. But the narrative that they're drawing is so weird and alien. And I'm like, but it all makes logical sense. But only through the lens of all these religions, through history. And I'm like, you know what? I look at things that are happening through the lens of, like, obviously myself and what I understand logically and what I believe to be objective truth and quote-unquote science-based. And that really doesn't explain anything. So I'm complete, like, this sounds ridiculous to say out loud, but it's like I just sometimes forget that there's religious zealots out there and that those people are smart and have power. And that's weird to me.
I would argue that they're not smart. I'm just kidding.
See, that's the thing. Like, my brain associates like religious fervor or religious zealots with like low intelligence.
Yeah.
And therefore, like, probably not in power, not calling shots, making elaborate plans, pulling off shit. But that's not true. It's objectively not true.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's objectively not true.
So it's like I'm just completely disregarding this entire set of motivations that I'm not paying attention to. And now that I'm like thinking about, I'm like, oh, people do things because of religion. And now I'm just in the last little, 2 weeks learning a lot more about religious doctrine. I'm like, oh, this shit's scary.
Yeah.
It's incredibly, I just think about regressive, but for them it's progress.
And I guess like you grew up religious.
Yeah.
So I know.
And that's why I disregard it, because for me it's in the past.
Yeah. And
I'm not discovering it. I'm running away from it.
Yeah. And I didn't grow up religious. And to me, it's so wild of a thought. Like, for me, like, religion just seem okay. You ever see these like tweets where people are like, Pablo Picasso died in fucking 1978? I thought this guy lived in the fucking Renaissance. Like,
right.
Religion is like that for me.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, people still believe it. Like, it's like some idea. I'm like, oh yeah, like, they used to build these churches and like, Assassin's Creed and shit, like that, the religion. But it's like, sometimes
it's current.
Yeah. And then sometimes people like, I do farmers markets with a woman who never goes to the Sunday markets. And I'm like, oh, you're doing that East St. Paul market? And she's like, no, I can't. It's on Sunday. And I'm like, oh, were you busy? And she's like, what do you mean? I have to go to church. And I'm like, oh, like, I literally did not even occur to me.
These godless hustlers.
But it's like that I can't skip church to run my business.
It was honestly one of the biggest adjustments of me moving into Winnipeg is the fact that Sunday became the second day of the weekend.
Yeah. Instead of getting up early and putting on your Sunday best. And
like, Saturday was the weekend, and then Sunday was Sunday.
Yeah.
That's a different day entirely.
Did you go to like Sunday school and shit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I fucking taught Sunday school, dude.
Yeah, I know. You're a fucking weirdo. I went to church. We went to church probably once a month.
My dad was a superintendent.
We went to church probably once a month on Sundays for like regular service, and then I go to Sunday school probably from age 3 to like 6 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I've told this story on the podcast before. Me and my friend Nick, who lived down the street, we would go to the church, and it was a non-denominational, like, United Church or whatever. Like, so it was like no matter what Christian you are, you can go to it. And they would give you the kid Bibles with like a bunch of pictures and stuff to like so you could interpret it. And we'd be like drawing mustaches and devil horns on Jesus and stuff, like
classic.
And like, even back then, I'm like, this kind of sounds like bullshit. Like,
it's kind of sacrilegious, but that's not real.
No, but like, even when I was a kid, I was like,
Not buying it.
Like they were talking about like
Well, it's because your parents probably weren't passionate about it.
no, they weren't. We went because my grandfather was religious.
Right. So you were already
But,
third tier removed.
But by the time he died, I wish he had lived longer. But I guess that everyone says that. But like he died when I was 14, and I was old enough at 14 that I could like form coherent arguments about my beliefs. But looking back now, I'm like, oh, I must have been a fucking idiot, right? Like I'm nowhere near the intellectual level that I am now, and I'm still an idiot.
Yeah, you didn't know anything about
But
anything.
we would debate stuff for hours, just fucking not like I'd sleep over there. We'd be talking. It'd be 11 p.m. We're still fucking debating just random shit. My grandma's like, I'm going to bed. And we're just like, yeah. We're just like, just fucking.
That's how I was at that age. But the culture I came from is don't question.
Yeah, but I was
Which is above all what made me fuck off was the fact that you like
yeah.
the initial response is don't question that, and then if you reach the right person that's willing to actually speak to you about it, I engage with them enough to get to the point where they're like, well, I don't have an answer for that because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And then ask that enough times from enough people, and you realize it's like, okay, well, there really isn't any conclusions about any of this. It's just all kind of based on like
I think
it just kind of fell apart for me.
my grandfather before he died, I think was getting to, and I might be wrong, I may be misinterpreting it, but I think he was getting more agnostic than anything. Like I think he had kind of stepped away from the church and been more just like there is a higher power, but we don't know what it is kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because like even as a kid, and you go to Sunday school and they try to explain the Bible stories to you like you're a child, right? Like you've done it. And I just remember them talking about like all these the popular like the Sodom and Gomorrah stuff, and I remember even like as a 6-year-old being like, wait, they just killed like millions of people because a few of them were bad. Like,
oh, dude, read fucking read Kings, read
because I think like like you grew up Mennonite, so that's different obviously, but like as far as I was concerned, like we were I don't even know what denomination. I guess we're Protestants, right? Like
yeah.
But
Protestant is splintered
as far
ways.
But as far as like my family was, like they were even dumping like Leviticus at that point.
Right.
They're like those Old Testament stuff, like the gay marriage stuff. Don't.
It's because they have to, because it's all internally contradictory.
Exactly.
Like, there's no consistency in the script.
So, but even like the big popular stories, like the Sodom and Gomorrah and stuff, and like I remember Job, and it's like Job was basically, God was like, oh, this guy loves me. And then the devil's like, oh, he wouldn't love you if his life was shitty. He's like, bet, and made his life shitty.
Yeah.
It's like, what a shitty thing to do. Like, literally to prove a point to the devil, he fucked up a guy's, like, killed his daughters, gave him boils, like, fuck, like, all this shit. It's like, what are you doing? I thought you loved him.
And Revelations was written by a guy who's, like, probably mentally ill and maybe on drugs, like, in a cave by himself for a period of time. Like, like Genesis and Revelations both are like kind of anomalies in terms of how the Bible was written, more so Revelations than any other. And there are denominations and sects of Christianity, and very influential ones, that control significant voting blocks, including the majority of the Republican Party, that are based on singular scriptures in the Revelation, in the book of Revelations. Like, when it's fucking crackpot shit, but it is so influential. Now I'm like having a whole new renewal of interest of like, shit, I gotta know what's going on over here, because it's impacting, now more than ever with this fucking Supreme Court week that we've had. It's turning into reality.
I find it so
originalism, right?
Yeah, I just find it so like now, like when I was a kid, I was like, I identified myself as an atheist, and like I watched some like atheist YouTubers and stuff, and I was probably just trying to be more edgy than anything when I was like 14.
Trying to be cool.
But now I'm just like, I don't identify as anything. I wouldn't call myself an atheist. I don't call myself agnostic. I don't really think there's anything at all. But that being said, like, I don't know. It's not something. I don't think there's anything, so I don't think there's any reason to even think about it.
You're apathetic. You moved on from agnostic to apathetic.
Fuck it, right? But like, I just find it so interesting that people really believe this.
See,
like,
to
the point where they're like, they'll force other people. Like I thought that was the whole thing.
Just for some of them, yeah.
Was don't force other people, right? You know what I mean? Like
It's
let them
recruitment.
sin, right?
It's recruitment. It's influence, and so on. I'll kind of describe what I went through, which kind of is how my brain still works now. Is I applied, in a sense, in a very like personal sense, and personal experience way, the scientific method to Christianity, because there was all these different things they pointed to. They're like, oh, this is how I know it's real, or that's how I know it's real. And I'm like, okay, but that's completely subjective.
He did
like,
a bunch of miracles, and then cameras got invented, and there hasn't been a miracle since.
True. No, it was like people describing like their personal experiences, like, well, I feel God, or I feel this, or I've seen this, or people say they've seen this or feel this, and it's like, okay, well those are all entirely subjective things, and me not knowing much about the world, but having enough of an idea to be like, I think those things happen elsewhere.
Yeah.
Isolated from this church, like as they say, like the difference between, a lot of Christians say the difference between like a spiritual, a fake or demonic or evil or bad or the other spiritual experience is if you don't invoke the name of Jesus or whatever, if you don't do it through scripture, whatever, that is something else. What we do is different, and this is how it's different, is if you invoke the name, like blah blah blah. But it's like the same experiences happen across humanity, regardless of their explanation.
That was one of the things that got me, actually. I remember, shout out Age of Mythology, Age of Empires game, but it's like Greek and Egyptian mythology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember playing that when I was like 8 years old, and then started thinking about like, okay, all these religions, all these pantheons of gods and stuff, like that was all fake. And then the god that got written 2,000 years ago, that one's the real one.
Right.
There's, a million years of human history that's all those gods, those are all fake.
I think it's like 350,000, but yeah.
Okay, whatever. But like, well, you know me, I overshoot every number. But like, all of human history, all of that religion is fake. And then this one is the real one.
Yes.
That was something
True.
I remember when I was like 10 years old. I'm like, wait a second. How do they know they're the right one?
This is just the latest iteration of the same idea.
Yeah. And I remember
and a very good marketing campaign.
And like, why are people in other places? And then the one thing that got me, I think when I was like 11 years old, that I was like, okay, these people are bad, was, I don't know where the fuck I would have seen it. Maybe I started watching these YouTubers, but I remember being young. I don't know, whatever. But I remember somebody asked the Pope if a man in fucking Tibet, Tajikistan, whatever, in the mountains is a goat farmer and lives a, life.
Clean, pure life according to the 10 Commandments.
But has never heard of Jesus because he's a goat farmer in Tajikistan, would he go to hell? And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
If you don't accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior specifically, you go to hell. Even if you didn't do anything bad your entire life, not even do anything bad, but like do everything right, how a good Christian should. If you weren't a Christian, you would still go to hell. And I was like, okay, these are just evil people.
That was one of the questions that I would ask pastors, and I never got the same answer twice.
Like when you were young?
When I was like 20.
Okay.
I asked no less than 40 pastors in no less than 20 cities, and I didn't get the same answer twice. And these are from similar denominations.
Oh yeah, because you were traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to more churches in a year than there are weeks.
Yeah. Because you were traveling with
a musician.
With a musician, and you were doing a lot of shows in northern like native communities where like the church a lot of times was like the only community center.
Yeah, and inner city shit.
Yeah.
Like all over.
Yeah.
But anyways, I asked dozens of pastors, got different answers every time. Like I just started, because a lot of these conversations would start to blend together and they're like days apart. But we're like the experience of having me come in was novel to the pastor, but like all the pastors started to look the same to me, right?
Yeah.
So I just started like
same shirt.
Yeah. So I just started to ask the same questions.
Should I get one of those collars?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's a priest, dude, not Protestant pastors.
What's the difference?
Protestant pastors wear hoodies because they're cool.
I thought pastor and priest was like interchangeable.
No.
Okay, I don't fucking know.
No, different sects.
Who wears the collars?
Priests.
Catholics?
Yeah.
My my cousin, shout out Jay,
is one.
is a no, he's a Ukrainian Catholic. He just got promoted recently. He's like a bishop now.
Ooh,
He has a really tall hat. It's really cool.
nice.
And then on the weekends,
Is the hat as tall as your hat brim is long?
yes,
God
it's
damn.
a big ass hat.
Jesus
And you know what's
Christ.
funny when we
No offense.
we don't blaspheme.
Come at me then.
But we on that side of the family, we nicest fucking guy. I love Jay. On the weekends, he's he dresses up in the Gold Eyes mascot uniform. That's his weekend job.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
I would
he's-
love to see him do that with the hat.
Yeah. When he lived in Ottawa, he brought me to a bar called Pub Italia. Bar Italia is the one here that's sketchy.
Yeah.
Pub Italia in Ottawa. Shout out Pub Italia. It's so cool. I think I've told you about this place. It's
The clocks.
no. That was Brasserie de Temp in Quebec. That was, you got a flight for like $10 with 12 beers on it.
It's probably $30 now, but
Anyway, but no, it's the owner is like from Ottawa. He like retired from his job or whatever. He just traveled like Eastern Europe, like in the 90s. So it was like right after the Bosnia revolution and the Herzegovina like genocide, all this shit. So it was like Eastern Europe was not doing great. He traveled Eastern Europe, going to these like bombed out churches and being like, yo, can I buy that like stained glass window? Yo, can I buy this statue? Can I buy these pews? And we just buy shit and ship it back to Ottawa. And then he made a bar with all of them.
it's probably haunted as fuck.
So cool. But anyway, and they have like the beer Bible as their menu and shit. And it's like, it's anyway.
Sacrilegious.
Well, it's funny. So my Catholic priest cousin, Ukrainian Catholic, not the bad ones. The Ukrainian Catholics never molested anyone. Well, maybe. Okay, my cousin never molested anyone. But anyway, so he took
Allegedly.
he took us there and he sits down and he looks at me and he's like, yeah, it's kind of sacrilegious, but my congregation likes it. So he's like his belief is that God wants us to have fun.
See, this is the thing about a lot of Catholic churches and faiths is it's very different. Like Protestants are more zealous, more like yeah, you find more zealots in the Protestant faith than you find in the Catholic faith, which is like it's more like a worldly, more progressive almost.
Which
church,
is interesting.
minus like
The-
handful of issues.
The Pope molesting people kind of thing.
Well,
but,
that's just a hobby.
okay, I was gonna say just quick. I always do this where I like give the context to a story and then
don't deliver it.
that becomes a story. So that side of the family, weddings and funerals are Ukrainian Catholic, so they're 6 hours long.
Oh,
and,
I'm about to go to a Ukrainian Catholic wedding this fall. So I'm looking forward to it.
Have fun.
Yeah, 90-minute ceremony.
It's a 90-minute ceremony. Yeah, no, it's so his father died recently, my uncle, and the funeral. I was counting because I was like, this is weird. I was 40 minutes before they said his name.
Wow.
Because it's not about him.
Yeah.
It's about God.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
And they do it in Ukrainian, then do it again in Latin, and then do it again in English.
Right.
And it's like an hour and 45 minutes ceremony. They bring out the incense and everything and chant and do all this shit.
And
so,
did you note how dry the delivery was?
In nomine Patri et Filii Spiritus Sancti.
You know why that is?
No.
Because they believe that like embellishment or any personal flair or any personal impression whatsoever
Would, like,
on the
pervert it.
delivery is like
Not how it was intended?
it's like perjury. It's like cardinal sin.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Because
So-
you're trying to modify the word of God
Yeah.
to your own personality, and that's self-aggrandizing and sacrilegious
So, yeah, and you want to know the funny
and
thing?
boring as fuck.
You know the funniest thing? I'm allergic to the incense, the Ukrainian Catholic incense that they burn.
So you started getting really sweaty and
No. I
Start on fire?
I start sneezing.
nice.
It's so funny. My Baba's funeral, my Uncle Ken's funeral, I have to leave the room.
That's so good.
I'm fucking allergic to the incense they burn. But anyway, this was all coming around to my story. So I was at the funeral, and all the bishops walk in just like street clothes, like dress shirts, but like just
Yeah.
like whatever, with gym bags they go in the back and then come out in the robes. It's so funny because like we saw my cousin and the other bishops go in and we're like, oh, they're not like dressing up in the thing, and then they come out and it's like, oh, they were just in the gym bags, like, but they're like blue gym bag, like just like yeah, it's so funny. It's like you think this would be more official, but like, nah, it's just like whatever.
That's pretty funny.
And then I remember one time he posted like on like hot, like they're like robes, right? Like they're all the way to the ground, like you're fucking flowing robes. He's wearing like shorts under them. It's like he's like, oh yeah, I'm wearing like baseball shorts under them. Like, yeah. Religion's weird, and
it's gonna fuck up your life.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
So there was a
I understand how people need something to
yes,
cling on to, though.
But I don't appreciate it often enough, was going to be my overall point. And there's a GOP senator that, you know, had the Freudian slip of saying...
The gay old party.
Yeah. Just peeks the microphones. GOP candidate says that like this is a monumental step for
white lives.
For white life. They're like, no, she meant the right to life. It's like, yeah, if she did, Freudian slip, she fucking meant it.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then second of all, there's another, like with same day or next day, another candidate or member. I'm not sure.
Candidate today?
Yeah.
Get out there and vote for your favorite candidate today.
Yeah. She said something to the effect of,
if you get that reference, let me know.
The separation between church and state. She's like, I'm tired of people saying that.
That was Bobart.
Yeah, she's like, I'm tired of people saying that. She's like, there's nothing in the frickin' Constitution that says there should be a separation between the church and state. She's like, the state,
get rid of that.
The church should be above the state.
Yeah,
the state does what the church says.
Because this is a Christian nation.
Yeah,
even though
which is a new invention, by the way.
The founding fathers were atheists. Like,
yeah, they were fucking assholes, slaveholders. Like, don't listen to those motherfuckers.
They were also not religious.
It's the oldest functioning constitution in the world. Maybe
really?
Yes, it's the oldest functioning constitution in the world.
You know what? In the game, I don't know in the entire series, but in Tropico, the game where you play as a Caribbean dictator, you have to renew your constitution every like 5 years.
So what's incredible to me is
and that's as a dictator.
What's incredible to me is when people read history, they'll like glaze over like thousands of years at a time. It's like, oh, that was that period. Oh, this was like that. Look, 200 years of our shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess when you say like the Dark Ages, wasn't that like 4,000 years or something?
Exactly.
Dumb?
Like,
yeah.
Think about how much of a blink in history we are, and we've been in an unprecedented period of peace and prosperity and development. And it's like, it's never been this way, exactly. Like, the world's never been developed this way. There's never been this, like... The biggest reason that we forget about history is that there isn't really a fungible... Or an NFT. There hasn't been an NFT for there hasn't been a non-fungible way of, like, recording what's happening. Because they used to write shit down on paper. Paper degrades. They would write it on tablets.
Libraries of Alexandria
get
torched.
Exactly. Like, stuff gets destroyed, stuff degrades, stuff goes away, and it's like it never happened.
What's the...
But now we have digital libraries. We have
everything's
potentially...
documented on the internet, on podcasts like this.
Yeah, we have digital storage, we have paper storage, we have all kinds of ways of storing information now. That is, like, above all, what has advanced the race of humanity, is the sharing and storage of information. It's never been like this, so what's going to happen next is a singularity we don't know, but I don't know, it ain't looking fucking good, and religion's making a comeback, and that makes me really sweaty.
Just for America, though.
No.
Yeah, well...
No, it's a global shift.
Well, I know that
it's a global shift.
Sweden, for the first time ever, this new generation, like the Zoomer generation, 0.0% identify as religious.
But that doesn't mean the powers... I think here's my theory. I'll just say the whole thing because it's in my head and I forget sometimes that you can't hear what I'm thinking.
Huh?
What? So I believe in like the pendulum shifting nature of politics, right? It swings left, it swings right, it swings left, it swings right. And it's been kind of like jammed in the center and nothing's changed much for a while. Not in any meaningful way. there hasn't been like a lot of riots on the left or the right. Like, I mean, you had George Floyd, the COVID pandemic obviously exacerbated a lot of things, but prior to that, you've had decades of very little political unrest. The left and the right were just kind of fighting on shit around the middle, but not really pushing far left or right. It was very stagnant, right?
Yeah, I guess since like Nixon was the last like I think polarizing one.
Yeah, very, very stagnant for the last couple decades.
Because Clinton was very like getting a blowjob was the worst thing that happened in Clinton's administration.
It's like, man, remember when that was just the good old times?
The country united when 9/11 happened. Like people didn't start hating George Bush till George W. till the end. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Trump did a bunch of like firsts for presidents.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into them because I don't watch the fucking news. I think
shout out Trump, President 2024.
Probably.
I hope so.
Almost certainly.
God, I hope so.
They deserve it. They deserve every inch of that man.
I love Donald
Trump. Pun
Trump.
intended.
I love. Do you think we could get Donald Trump on this podcast?
I would fucking love that.
Do you know
but
who
probably
the Nelk Boys are?
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
They got Trump on their podcast, and I have no idea how.
So anyways, I got to finish my thought. The pendulum effect of politics is, I think we're basically keying up for the last hard swing right.
Before a leftist revolution?
And to be fair, this is my optimistic take.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that I'm usually right, but I usually am. This is the last hard swing right where they're going to get away with, they're going to accomplish almost all their goals that they've set out to accomplish. They're going to get away with fucking murder. And probably literally. Almost certainly literally. And everything's going to swing to the right. You're going to have very regressive politics, and it's going to go back to like 1960s.
Love it.
Maybe 1980s.
Well, why do black people need to get married?
Exactly.
Why do women need to vote?
Why do you need to get fucked in the butt?
Actually, okay, so here's the thing.
It's like, wait, that's where I draw the fucking line.
Can I petition the government to have straight, like, get pegged?
No.
Or is that just gay?
If it does not produce a fetus, which has...
You mean a baby?
Which, no. Like, they dude, don't get me on a fucking tangent.
He's sweating.
I am sweating. Don't get me...
He put his drink down, and he's like...
Don't get me on a fucking tangent. But I think there's going to be a hard swing right, and it's going to last as long as it takes for people to be like, you know what? Everybody I know disagrees with this state, and it's going to fucking swing the other way. There's going to be direct action. There's going to be rebellion. There's going to be, dare I say, domestic terrorism and protests, and shit's going to have to swing the other way because that's what always happens.
Do you actually think the United States public is capable of having a revolution?
No, they're very dumb.
1 in 5 of them can't read. I just learned today.
Yeah, one in 5 Americans
have a literacy rate of
is effectively illiterate.
Effectively illiterate, have a literacy rate of a 5th grader.
Unless you speak Tucker Carlson, in which case you are illiterate. So, with that depressing fact aside, I still think that it's going to swing right. There's going to be a pushback. I don't know if it's going to be in the form of revolution, if it's going to be in the form of political upheaval, if it's going to be within the confines of our current system, and we're going to vote our way back left.
Yeah, perfect.
I doubt it.
Like AOC is far right.
Right.
They're just far right that want dental coverage. They're still fascists.
But it only requires one motherfucker to come up to push it back left.
Because even like Bernie doesn't want to dismantle capitalism.
No.
Like he's still right.
But that's all I'm saying. All it takes is one guy.
Yeah.
History has proven all it takes is one guy to be the figurehead or to be like the focal point of people.
Fidel Castro.
That's not the impossible
Sankara.
part. The fact that you don't have anybody in power right now that makes any sense doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It could be a 3rd grade teacher in your school that's going to become the next whatever communist president.
Well, you know what the irony will be? It's someone who was scheduled to be aborted this week. They got canceled because of the law. Grows up to be the revolutionary leader that topples the right wing.
Oh, dude, I hope so. I hope so. If I could take that bet, that'd be amazing. That would be, that'd be fucking incredible. Because they're like, we gotta save these lives, and the kid they save overthrows
them. Yeah,
that would be brilliant. I'm in favor of that. I will wait 30 years just to see it.
Like
35.
My roommate Jean-Luc, who's been on this podcast a couple times, he's convinced that the United States is going to balkanize, like split into 5 different countries. Like Florida, California, Texas, Midwest, and whatever the fucking New York part is called.
Midwest.
No, Midwest is like Kansas and Minnesota and shit.
East, I don't know, East Coast.
Whatever, yeah. So, but they're gonna split into those 5 countries.
I wouldn't.
He 100% thinks that's gonna happen.
I wouldn't doubt that there's. Yeah, the splintering is going to be intense because that's effectively what the Supreme Court is encouraging.
Texas has their a referendum at the 2023 election
to secede. Yeah.
And if they do it, Florida's going.
Yeah.
Certainly, right? And then DeSantis will be president of Florida country.
And North and South, here we go, let's have some more.
Here's one thing I'll say. If Texas does secede, listeners, look into this. As a new country, they're going to be giving great incentives to new investors because they're going to want to attract, they're going to be cut off from the fucking America's money printing machine, right? So
also for context, Texas has roughly the GDP of Russia.
And Texas has the population of Canada.
And more guns than Russia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably more howitzers, too.
But, so, buy some land in Texas. Might be worth a lot more very soon.
I was gonna say, I know a real estate investor moving to Texas.
Hey, here we go.
I'm kidding. He just met a chick, so it's not like he's an oracle.
Anyway, we're going to take. Okay, before we do this, review on the.
We have to. I've been thinking about it for like the last 30 minutes. We don't even mention the fucking booze we're drinking.
So we're drinking the Okay, so first question, just a yes or no. Better than the purple?
Yes.
I agree. Here, I'll give you my whole rundown. So
I'm gonna ask you one question in return.
Yeah.
Does it taste any better than orange?
Orange what?
That's not the question.
What are you talking about?
Does it taste any better than orange?
Orange what?
The last one tastes like purple.
Oh, does this
taste better than orange?
No.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it tastes like orange.
So here's the thing. The smell is a lot less offensive on this one.
Yes. It doesn't taste like I just got sugar.
The fucking purple you could smell when the cup was on the table in front of us. Like, I'll pour you another cup there, buddy.
It was a lot. No, please don't.
No, I'm going to.
Okay, just a little bit.
No, yeah, you can have a whole cup. We got to drink all 3 of these 2 liters today, so.
I'm sleeping here.
This is 7% alcohol, by the way, for the reference. If you didn't watch the last episode, these are basically high fructose corn syrup and alcohol, essentially. Like, it's,
yeah, that's what it tastes like.
Well, I think that's what it is. Like, so it calls itself an hard iced tea, but if you read the subtitle, the legal, where you actually have to say what it is, says flavored alcoholic beverage. Right. Doesn't say, like, if you like Twisted Tea says like alcoholic tea beverage or something. This just says flavored alcoholic beverage. Like, which means there's nothing flavor and alcohol and water. Because you have to put what's in it. Ingredients: water, dextrose, number 1. So that's fruit, corn sugar, peach juice concentrate, natural flavor, tricalcium phosphate, caramel, and color. Yeah, that's preservative and color. Yeah. Water, sugar, peach juice, preservatives, and coloring. And alcohol? Not on the ingredient list? What? This is not a CFIA compliant label. Is it? Got him. It 100% needs to have alcohol on the list, and it does not. Uh-oh. That's so funny. Sorry. Call your girl. This is not a label that is compliant with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. 100%. I didn't even read it, and I called that. That's so funny. Uh-oh. Maybe I should bleep all this out. No, I think you should leave it in and just tag them until they bleep it. That's so funny, actually. Hector's Heart, if you want to pay us $5,000, I will take this episode down. Um,
Yes, extortion. This is our business model.
perfect. Anyway, so I will say the smell is much less offensive than the purple.
Yeah.
You know what it smells like to me?
Hmm.
Identically. You ever buy those? We used to do this. Me and Zach both love it. It's peach juice powder, no name brand from Superstore.
That's probably what it is.
It might be, but smells identical to that.
I immediately thought Slurpee.
Okay. Yeah.
It's in the Slurpee neighborhood.
But you see, here's the thing.
Not that I've had a peach Slurpee, but it tastes like what a peach Slurpee would taste
The
like.
taste is so inoffensive.
Yeah.
Very light on the palate.
It's light. It's like the purple was like offensively sugary.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm getting cancer drinking this.
Yeah.
Or diabetes maybe. But this is like,
Diabetes.
if I made powdered peach juice
Yeah.
and I tasted this, I'd be like, oh, I didn't add enough flavor. Like this is very,
It's like a light Mio.
I want to say watery, but as a compliment. Like it's very watered down,
Yeah.
but like in a good way.
It's a lot more drinkable. I could drink a cup of this and not feel gross.
I would never pay money for this, I don't think.
A resounding endorsement from this podcast. Would drink, wouldn't pay.
Hey, to be fair, that's a lot of beer I drink.
Yeah. But you do pay for most beer.
So when would this hit the spot? Okay, it's 37 degrees out. You're on a dock. Is this hitting the spot?
No.
You'd rather drink a seltzer, right?
No, I'd rather drink like a watery beer.
You'd rather drink a white shell vodka soda made by Shrugging Dr. Beverage Company.
Actually, yes, I would.
Available at shrug.com. That's shrugdoc.com.
You know what? I hate that you mentioned that because it's true. I would rather drink your peach white shell than I would drink this.
And actually, that's a good comparison because I do have a peach flavor of
And
seltzer.
and it's my favorite.
And this is a peach flavor.
And I also previously drank it on a really hot beach.
So,
See, at Shrug Doc for picks.
yeah.
No, I think personally, this goes in the same category in my mind as pop, is drinking like a can of soda.
And I don't. Do you ever drink soda?
Oh yeah,
Okay, I don't.
I do it when I specifically want a sugar or a caffeine kick.
Okay.
Because I know I'm a little bit I do not have a sweet tooth when it comes to eating.
Yeah.
So I
neither
get
do I.
it. I get it through beverages.
Okay.
So I get my like for me it's mostly in the work day because I work a lot. Whatever, I can burn off sugar. It's not like I'm sitting at home and I eat consume a bunch of sugar and I'm a fucking addict.
Yeah.
But I am an addict. But it's like it's more like the gym addict that drinks caffeine products versus like an office person that drinks a lot of caffeine. It's you're actually using it. You're burning it off. So I use it as like a bit of an upper in the middle of a day. So I'll drink soda that way, but I won't drink late night soda.
See, I don't
Like after 5 o'clock, I won't have it.
I don't think I've had a soda that's not mixed with alcohol
Yeah.
since I was in school.
If I'm drinking it after 5 o'clock, has to be alcohol
With
in
alcohol,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you like your rum and cokes,
Yeah.
whiskey and cokes.
Pretty much exclusively, that's the only thing I'll drink.
I don't drink. The only time I'm like racking my brain. The only time I can think in the last like 10 years that I've drinking a soda not with alcohol has been like I'm really hungry. I go to like Popeyes
Right.
and I'm like, okay, well I want the chicken sandwich and a side. But a chicken sandwich and a side is like more expensive than getting the meal deal with the drink.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna get the fucking meal deal, and then I'll get like I'll drink ginger ale. That's like
In your mind, that's healthier?
in my mind that's healthier, but I
Just
like
as much sugar.
I like my ginger ale. Gin and ginger.
Good.
That's a good mix.
Good in the club.
But like when I was a kid, when Zach and I went to school together, my business partner, and our other friend Langevin, we'd always do lunch together. Because we got banned from the Safeway for stealing near us, so we had to go to the Family Foods around the corner, and no one would ever go up that way from our school. So we'd sit on this bench and drink. So we'd like buy. They had like potato wedges and wings and shit in their little deli. So we'd like buy that shit and then buy a 2 liter of pop and share it between us. like a 2-liter 99-cent fucking off-brand pop, right? But every day, like 5 days a week for like 2 years,
Yeah.
I was drinking like a third of a 2-liter of pop.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
It's a lot of, and what I remember, like I'll if I remember, I'll put it on the screen. But there's a picture of us on spring break. We bought like 100 2-liters. We all like pitched money and put it in a shopping cart and just like filled it up with 2-liters. And then we tried to drink them all before spring break was over. Like between like 10 of us. It was like a whole thing.
Gross.
Yeah, we were 15.
So there's no nutrition facts or anything on these bottles, right?
No, because it's alcohol, yeah.
Right.
Unless they make a claim, which
Right.
they do not. Yeah, if you make a claim, like for instance, I make the claim that I have 0 sugar, 0 carbs in my vodka soda white shell. You can available at trucknut.com. So as soon as you make a claim, you have to put an entire nutrition fact table.
Yeah.
But alcohol generally is exempt from nutrition facts and also actually exempt from ingredient lists.
Because it's assumed you are just consenting to some shit.
The only reason you're required to put ingredients like they had to, is because this is not a, quote, standardized alcohol. Standardized alcohol like whiskey, tequila, gin, wine, by saying the name of it, you're implying what's in it.
Yeah.
So you're exempt from that. And I think partially the reason why you don't have to put calorie counts and shit on alcohol is because the alcohol lobby wouldn't have it. Because if people knew there was like 2,400 calories in a bottle of vodka, they might be like, I don't know about that. Like,
Yeah, there's a shitload of calories in alcohol.
wow.
You gotta mix it with water in order to be like remotely diet efficient.
Yeah, no, alcohol is extremely bad for you. No one, I don't like.
No. It's extremely efficiently processed by the human body into calories,
Yeah.
which probably says more about the fact of how long we've been drinking alcohol.
Which is why I'm fat, though.
Sure.
Is because my body processes the calories so efficiently.
Right, but
That's why I have a beer gut.
it used to be consumed in lieu of clean water.
Yeah.
And it's like the additional calories. Like the human body is just extremely efficient at extracting the calories of alcohol.
Dude, alcohol is one of the oldest things in the world.
Yeah.
It was fucking and then brewing.
Yeah, it was fucking.
Two oldest.
Then brewing, then fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
We fermented, then we had fire.
Yeah.
Because the fermenting got too hot.
So we're gonna take one more shot here, and then we're
Jesus
gonna
Christ.
transition into the last part of the show called tip of the morning, tip of the.
You like that slurp?
Why did you like ramen noodle slurp
That was the
in a
ASMR.
fucking shot?
Spicy.
So, this last segment called Tip of the Morning is where Tyler and I give you a tip of business or life that we are currently going through in business or life.
Uh-huh.
My tip.
Oh.
Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
You go ahead if you got it queued up.
My tip is always be cool. Just kidding. I actually have one. So, when I was talking about doing my event for the first time, I shamefully admitted that one of the reasons why I had never tried is because I was scared to fail, basically.
You're self-conscious about success in your business?
So here's the
You're
thing.
the first one.
I wasn't scared of selling no tickets.
Not enough.
I can shrug that off.
50% would have been the worst thing.
No. I was scared of selling like 3 tickets
Out of a 20.
out of 40.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So then I'd have like this whole event, and I can't just cancel for like like I could cancel
Just
for like
enough people that you can't cancel.
just enough people that I couldn't cancel, but not enough to make it worth it.
Yeah.
That's what I was terrified of.
Yeah.
That like 5 people would show up.
Why do you think club promoters cycle every 3 years?
Why?
Because they flame out. And they're like, promote the shit out of it. They put their heart and soul into it, and they get a fucking dead club.
Dude,
It takes 2 weekends of that, and they're done.
I'm 26 years old. I still get DMs from people that are almost 40 asking if I want to go to a club for my birthday. Like,
Right.
get the fuck out of my DMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to recover that initial hype.
And they're like 40, but they keep having like their 22nd birthday.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're getting wrinkly and gray. Like,
Yeah. There's a
you're not.
guy in our city that starts with a Steven and ends with an H who's extremely good at this.
I would have known if you just said S, because that's.
People can't spell
To be
it,
fair
so they
though,
won't find him.
He's like he's a major investor in a popular music festival here and makes a
No,
fuck ton
I'm
of
not
money.
saying he doesn't do.
He makes like $500,000 in a day.
Yeah.
Doing that music
But that's
festival.
but that pays for all the
Like,
liability.
personally.
That applies for that just goes towards all the liability lawsuits that the other 364 days of the year.
Yeah, but yeah, he still DMs me. He DM'd me on my birthday. I was like, no, I'm a 26-year-old business owner. I'm not going to the club on a Friday.
Perfect.
Yeah, put me on the list. But I was scared, and then I did it, and it was a resounding success. So that's probably a pretty stereotypical tip, but just like maybe if there's something you're a little bit worried about,
Just end it.
just send it and believe in yourself, believe in your business. If you have a good product, a good service, people want to support you, they want to show up. And I actually, here's something I did do. I sold 2 tickets to my mother and father because I was worried no one would show up. So, and to Daniel and Jenna.
And
So
that was more for you than for the company.
So I sold 4 out of the 40 tickets to friends of mine and my parents, so that
Like at least 4 would show up because your threshold.
no. So if
Your threshold was 3.
no, because
So
remember,
you sold 4.
well, remember my my biggest worry was selling like 2 tickets,
Yeah.
so that it wouldn't be weird if like one couple came and they were completely alone.
Right.
It wouldn't be weird if I had other people.
Yeah.
So that's why I did it. But then I'm like, oh, I didn't actually need them to come. Like they had a good time, but like
So to be fair, when
so that's my tip.
So Carly was asking me, my girlfriend, if you haven't been listening, fuck you, if we were gonna go. She's like, should we buy tickets to this? Because she's like, Willows is throwing this event. Like, are we obligated to buy tickets?
That's funny that you would think that.
So she asked me, she's like, are we going? And I'm like, it depends on how many tickets he sells. I'm like, if he sells less than 20, yes. If he sells more than 20, no, we're not going.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, just trust me, we'll let her ride. And it was like, yeah, if you were going to sell less than 20, we would have showed up.
I appreciate it.
Because fill the room, right?
Yeah.
And I would have pretended like I didn't fucking know. You'd be
That's-
like, oh, wow, I've
that-
never tried this one.
Yeah,
it's so
that's
good.
exactly what I was gonna tell.
And then they
Daniel to
see
do.
me, and then they see me in the videos of picking grapes. Is like, ah, shit.
Wait, yeah, there's so many pictures of us online. Well, that's so I had a
To be fair, I don't look like the pictures of when we started
fair.
or you started. I throw the collective we in there because I'm a communist.
Okay. Our winery.
You mean our wine?
When I had before COVID, I had some guy I went to school with. He was a year older than me. Came and played just like acoustic guitar,
Yeah.
and nobody showed up.
Perfect.
Well, like one of his friends showed up, and because like my bar, for reference, isn't busy. Like it's like a 10-seat bar, and it's
In the middle of a residential area.
if I have like 6 customers on a Saturday, I'm like, oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Because my business model isn't the bar. My business model is retail and wholesale to like the liquor stores. And that's where I make all my money. The bar is just like free money.
Yeah.
Because I clean up. Like I can sell a fucking bottle for $15 or I can sell a glass for $9.
Yeah.
Like I fucking clean up on the bar. So it's worth having as part of the brand, as et cetera, et cetera. But that's not my business model. So my bar isn't just busy. So like when he came to play, I asked a couple of my friends to come to just fill out the room. So that's, yeah, basically like what you're saying, which is funny that I didn't even have to ask you. And you're like, yeah, we'll go if there's no one else going.
I know the fucking ruse.
So I appreciate it. But yeah,
Yeah.
just like, I was like, just going to get friends to,
Oh, and we
fill out
could
the
have
room.
and we could have probably like filled out the room with friends and family, like and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
pretended.
and I wouldn't have charged you at that point. Like, yeah, but,
You don't think about digging into the pocket for those things because you may have already dug into the pocket for those things. Like people will help you,
well, and so here's the thing
and
is,
also that applies to your loyal customers. They will just buy shit because they want to help you,
which is, dude,
which
so
is so weird, but it's
one
cool.
of my wine club subscribers was there.
Yeah,
And I had never talked to her really before other than just going to her door and dropping off the wine.
yeah,
And she said to me, she's like, because I have a wine club, it's a subscription service every 6 months. And I handwrite letters to all my subscribers.
yeah.
It's like usually just the same thing on everyone's, like I just, whatever, but I handwrite them. And she came up to me after the event and said, your handwritten letters are the best thing about my wine club subscription. Never stop doing that.
And to be fair, your handwriting is illegible.
Yeah, well, I think that's part of the charm, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely it
So
is.
it's like proving that I didn't just copy this off the
Yeah, they're
internet.
like,
right?
oh, this guy did not like have a secretary do it.
Yeah.
This idiot did it himself.
Yeah. And I am and I do, right? And maybe when we get bigger, like it's getting harder and harder every year because I get more subscribers.
You should
but,
do it.
I'm gonna try. Well, I guess I could break it over a few days.
Man, when I used to work with Stefan, we would literally cancel like 3 hours a week of his time. And we would make this motherfucker sit on a chair, and we would just like feed him books that he had to like write
sign.
shit in.
Yeah.
And he would like be subconsciously just like signing and writing in books while we were having meetings.
Yeah.
And he would just
Yeah.
like crush through books as we were having meetings, and it was like we just sandwiched it into the schedule. And this was, a scale of, hundreds a week,
Yeah.
and it worked
Dude, I think there's
because those people would buy tickets
well
for $3,000 and then come and buy $20,000 of
Well, because
subscriptions.
I handwrite a note in a wine club order that she's spending hundreds of dollars a month on,
Yeah.
and then buys my ticket to come to the event after. Like the personal touch like that, I think is unparalleled for creating brand loyalty. Like
Yeah, see at Gary B.
yeah. Say what you will about him,
He gets that right.
he knows how to. Yeah, that is the story I always remember of his is someone called his wine store or his dad's wine store to complain that the mailman had like broken the bottles or something. So during a snowstorm in like Madison, New Jersey, he threw a fucking case of wine in his. He's like, I threw a fucking case of Chateau Lafite in my Corolla, and he drove up in like New Jersey in a snowstorm to hand deliver it to the woman.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's the ROI of that? Fucking doesn't matter what the ROI of that is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah.
I'd say my business tip of the morning week is don't, I guess kind of similar, don't underestimate
It just ends.
don't underestimate how far you can dig in terms of how fast you're going to grow, because I think the most common thread, because I'm in an industry where most businesses plateau very, very low. And it's, when I say low, I mean like less than 5 people. And a lot of businesses plateau because, people don't want to
Like
hire
5
because
employees.
yeah.
Yeah, I think like 75% of businesses are under 3. I think like over 50% of incorporated businesses in Canada are just one person.
Yeah. Which is fine. Like if you want to run a business with that number of people,
all the accountants and stuff that just have their own practices and shit.
yeah, like so be it. I'm not criticizing it, but
No.
if you want to scale, like we've been kind of trapped in this situation of fluctuating between 3 and 5, 3 and 6, 3 and 5, 2 and 5, 3 and 6. Like it's just been swinging back and forth in that seasonally. And it's kind of this notion of like, okay, we hire quickly during this busy season, but in reality, like, because I've worked in tech companies and startups and shit, and I know that if you are lucky, if you are extremely good, you are going to keep half the people that you hire longer than a season.
Yeah.
If you are lucky and extremely good. If you are not lucky and extremely good, and if you are in a in a normal situation, you can presume to see maybe 1 in 4, 1 in 5.
Well, like Amazon is worried that they're going to run through the entire population of the earth.
That is an entirely different problem I don't want to get into. They're fucking colonists on a capitalist scale. But you have to be almost constantly hiring, constantly training. And I used to hate this. I used to be really nervous about it. Would be hiring, training, recruiting, meeting new people. But
I hate hiring.
yeah, one thing that I've like really been suppressed at, like I used to be a salesperson, now I'm an ops person, is I don't meet a lot of new people on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
So I'm turning that into
You're sitting with
new
your,
hirees.
You're sitting with your AirPods fucking tiling all day.
Right.
I'm out talking to people all
So
day. Like,
you give me a crack at a new guy, and I'm like, I'm just explosive with energy. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, buddy, like, want to get on board? Like, I got all this shit. Yeah, exactly. I got all this shit to say to this guy. And, like, I have all this energy to pour into new hires, which, I mean, is probably a unique situation, but I am focused a lot on training. I get a lot of enjoyment, a lot of pleasure out of training new people, and just like I'm constantly teaching. Even if it's like a project manager that's hired me for something, and I'm like, hey buddy, you want to come over here? This is some shit you fucked up. This is a better way you could do it. Like I've just made it a habit. I'm doing this to everybody around me. Even like a client who's not going to renovate their house for another 30 years, I'll teach them about a thing that I'm doing, because I know that educating a customer on something that on a service that you're providing for them, even if they didn't need to know it, makes them feel more secure in your ability to handle their concerns, and they won't even question you. And next time something comes up, they'll be like, hey, this guy taught me everything I know about this thing, so I'm just going to like not even think about it. I'll throw money at him to fix my problem. So there's no downside to it. So I just got into the habit of constantly just like dumping information and teaching everybody around me in the most, civilized way I can without being an asshole about it. And if you get into that mindset with your business where you're like, okay, my business is primarily getting new clients, secondarily driving or delivering the service I promised, third, hiring and teaching and training new people to do the same. And if you think that doing number 3 is a burden, or the fact that if you hire someone new, they have an obligation to you, that they need to keep working for you, that they need to stay with you, they owe you, they should not fucking quit and get another job because they're not interested. Like, the second you get into that mindset, you're going to fall behind, because the best advice I ever received is, if someone quits from your organization, 9 out of 10, it had nothing to do with you. It was personal issues, personal preference. It was completely unique circumstances. It had nothing to do with you or your business, 90% of the time. So, unless you're an asshole, then it's probably 90% of the time it is your fault, to be fair. But you just have to get used to the idea of hiring and training and indoctrinating and meeting new people and finding that 1 in 10, that diamond in the rough, that is going to stick with you. And for most small businesses, all you need is 2 or 3 people that are really good, that vibe with you, that meet your values, that also are excited about the same thing, but on the same tract, don't want to compete with you, don't want to start their own company, don't want to like go be you. Don't hire people that want to be you, because that's just a narcissistic tendency, and fuck you if you're doing that. Hire people that want to be really good at what you do. And you find a handful of those, that's a foundation for a $10 million business. You find a handful of people that can do that thing where they find people that do that, like you have a $100 million business. Like, it scales up like that. It's people focused, it's recruitment focused, it's training focused, it's relationship focused. And if you disregard that, or if you think you're not good at it, or you think you can't do it, get out of fucking business, get a corporate job, because you're not going to live. Long story short.
On that note, thanks for coming by, guys. That was episode 77.
Wow.
If you like that episode, you can listen to more. Go to Linktree/alcohol beyond this point.
Linktree/vote Willows. And vote in the next election.
Vote Willows in the next election. That's me. You can find me, Vote Willows, on everything,
including the ballot.
And follow Shrugging Doctor My Winery on TikTok. SHRUGDOC on TikTok. I only have 10 followers. I'm trying to get more. Thanks.
On Twitter?
On TikTok.
Oh. Thanks.
Do you want them to find you? He already moved his mic away. I guess it's fine. Whatever.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't 2 podcasters talking business. This is 2 business guys trying to podcast.